According to the book entitled Peace Journalism by Jake Lynch and Annabelle McGoldrick, peace journalism uses conflict analysis and transformation to update the concepts of balance, fairness, and accuracy in reporting. They compared the peace journalism approach to a roadmap tracing the connections between journalists, their sources, the stories they cover, and the consequences of their reporting. Finally, they attribute an awareness of nonviolence and creativity to the practical job of everyday reporting. But the question is, are peace journalists able to use the principles of peace journalism outside of the field in their everyday lives? I asked Anastasia Vladimirova, a freshman peace and global studies major from Russia, if she felt as though she would use the things she learned during the research outside the journalistic arena.
I was pretty excited to come to peace journalism class. It seemed like something completely new from what I've tried already with journalism, and I only had experience working for The Word for the first time in my life, working for a newspaper. So I, before coming to Earlham, I was actually thinking that at some point in my life I would love to just travel around and write about people, their lives, and how they, what kind of challenges they have all around the world, what kind of situations they live through, to write about them and to show to people who might not have any idea of life on the other side of the planet. And when I came to peace journalism class, it appeared to be the exact thing that I was actually looking for. It taught me a journalistic approach, as well as some essential skills that would help me to approach people just the way I wanted, just the way I dreamt of when I was in UWC. And so when I was learning, I think I learned a lot of specific things, maybe even skills. It gave me an idea of how exactly I should approach people, talk to them, make my relationships with them in order to be a good journalist who talks about lives of the people, not about politics, but who concentrates on what is happening with people. I think that it happened just simply because I really wanted at some point to do that kind of work, and coming to peace journalism class and learning those skills. Because before it was just a dream, and now I feel like I'm getting the experience that would help me to maybe in the future go and be confident in talking to people who I don't know, and be confident in writing about their lives, and be confident in the fact that I will actually do it to the best of my ability, and I will actually do it the way that people will be touched, people will think, people start reflect on their own lives, and maybe why sometimes people are so ignorant to what is happening around. And I think that's because most of the journalism that we can see nowadays is war journalism, as opposed to peace journalism that we talked about in class, because it does concentrate a lot on politics, and it's all about politics, what politicians do, how they go around like solving this kind of problem or another, and very rarely you hear about people. And that's exactly what is very important, is to hear what happens in the lives of ordinary people who are affected by those politicians. So it's just a simple example of I think a kind of journalism that is widely practiced nowadays. Yeah.
Creating a global standard for journalism is constantly challenged by the changing media sources such as Facebook and Twitter. This is why courses such as the Fortnight Peace Journalism Project are important. It creates opportunities for future journalists and those who depend on the news to discuss how these challenges can be overcome and in some cases eradicated. Perhaps someday the peace journalism model will actually become the new journalism model. Music sample for this segment was the instrumental of Tupac Shakur's Changes. I'm Krystnell A Storr. As a part of an independent study, I decided to use the fortnight peace journalism class that I was a part of to analyze the peace journalism model as we studied it. I interviewed my classmates as well as the professor and discovered that ultimately, no matter how divergent the branches of journalism are, they are all connected by very firm roots. These interviews and this audio segment is proof of these claims. It took the Google search engine approximately 0.15 seconds to yield 83,500,000 results in response to the phrase history of journalism. Among the top choices listed was Schmoop.com, a website with the logo We Speak Student. Turns out this website was actually the creation of PhD students from Stanford who wanted to create an online resource for popular college courses, journalism being one of them. In 197 words under the heading, "In a Nutshell," Schmoop.com delivered an overview of the history of journalism.